Hello again, Aiden. So this one I'm going to do on your hips. So the first thing for your hips is the last exercise in the hamstring calf video I did for you. That kind of rocking motion is going to be fantastic for your hips. Great way to kind of just lubricate the entire hip joint, move it through a huge range of motion back and forth. So what you were describing about feeling your hip is kind of getting stuck, and especially in certain positions, squats and middle split and stuff. I'm not 100% positive because I haven't seen you kind of move and do that in a while. But if I were to take an educated guess, it's probably a matter of rotation inside of your hip, and for men especially, most specifically internal rotation. So I'm going to show you my favorite ways to kind of work on that, which is mainly going to be the 90-90 kind of rotation movement, which you've probably seen a whole lot, a bunch of people do it. There's a lot of ways to do it, but I'll kind of show you. There's literally so many different ways you can expand and move with that movement. So I'll show you some of my favorite ways to do it and just some kind of key things to pay attention to while you're doing it to like really help with the hip, because it's a really, really easy move to cheat. A lot of people can kind of do that move and get absolutely nothing out of it depending on how they're doing it. So I'll show you kind of how to direct your intention while you're doing that movement. Then first, I'll show you one of my favorite internal rotation exercises in general, specifically for a squat. So if you're having issues in the squat, you want to, squat and get not as low. This isn't about getting as low as you possibly can in the squat. You want to get to find where your hip feels like it's starting to kind of catch or feel stuck, or however you put it, and go a little bit higher than that. Right, so if you're up a little bit higher, it becomes a lot easier to make sure everything is engaged. You want your core engaged, spine nice and tall. You want your glutes engaged, everything here engaged. If it helps, you can put your hands up behind your head to get all like the lat and everything engaged. And we're just going to work internally, rotating each leg at a time. Right, so if you're down too low, it's going to be really hard to kind of move there. So you want to come up enough so you have enough space in your hip that you can kind of move your leg in. So you're just going to go back and forth and work internally rotating at the hip, bringing the knee in and in. Fantastic exercise, great workout, great for the hip, internal rotation. So do that literally all the time. If you're warming up, if you're working your hip, if you're feeling like your hip's stuck, just do a couple of rotations that way. You might even sometimes, as you get more flexible, get like a little pop in there. Like sometimes I have to like kind of get down and kind of move around, like pop my hip, and I'll be like, oh, a lot easier to move after that. So then the 90-90. So 90-90 is, we have your feet out like so. Hopefully I'm all the way in the screen. You're just gonna bring your legs out side to side, right? So when you're in this position, each leg at the knee is kind of at a 90-degree angle. So you probably see people doing this a lot to kind of warm up and whatnot, especially leaning back like this, which is the best place to start. Just warm up the hip joint. Then you want to start to advance it more and more and get more specifically into the rotation and the strength around the rotation. So when you're out this way, the reason it's so great is because now this leg is internally rotated and this leg is externally rotated. So you're training your hip in a full range of rotation here. But as I said in the last video, the most important thing really for any stretch or exercise is going to be your spine. So when you're back here, your spine's kind of taken out of the equation, which makes it easier, especially in the beginning. But if that's really easy for you, like if you're doing this, you're just kind of wiping back and forth and not really feeling anything, or just like a little bit of a stretch, you're ready to take it up a level, which is to do it with your hands off the ground. So you want to come up, try and keep the spine nice and tall. To start, maybe just keep facing one direction. You can even bring your hands out to help your balance. And you don't want your feet to move. You want your feet to stay very stable and in one position. As the legs come up, the knees are up, feet stay where they are, and the hips rotate. Right? So this is another way to add just a little bit more control into there, and you're gonna get more, I guess you're not getting more rotation, but you're getting more control over the rotation, more awareness of the muscles that control the rotation this way. And then the next way is add more rotation in through your spine. Right, so here, we're gonna look this way. I have to open my hands up. I'm gonna, to get more rotation through the spine, that means all the way up into the head as well. So I'm gonna turn my head facing that hand, right? And so now I'm gonna bring this hand back, look this way, turn here, and as I'm turning this way, this other hand is gonna draw across, and I'm gonna turn and open up this way. So I'm coming back and forth, my feet are staying where they are, and I'm just getting rotation in the spine and then in through the hips as well as I'm rotating out through here. This is one of my favorite exercises to do to kind of warm up everything, right? Because I'm getting rotation through the spine, I'm opening up my shoulders, I'm opening up my chest. Spine's rotating, hips are getting all sorts of rotation going on through them as well. So that's one of my favorite things to do for hip rotation, to help with the squat and help with everything with the hips. If that all is like super easy, which it's may or may not be, it's a very, like I said earlier, it's a very easy motion to cheat your way through. So it's not, you don't want to focus on like, oh, I gotta move my knees back and forth, I gotta go as fast as possible. Like do it really slow, really controlled. Like really try and feel all the muscles in and around here activating to do the rotation. Which brings me to the next thing, which is what I just did, which is another great way to control that, which is when you're in this position, just work lifting the knee up, right? How you're gonna lift the knee, keep the spine nice and tall. You might need to come back this way, that's fine. Might need to come forward to help you support at first, that's fine. But you want to be able to keep your body up and lift the knee to really work those inner muscles. And then the foot, right? Activating a lot of glute in here, lifting that back foot up. Again, it might help if you come forward this way. Lean, doesn't really help. Either way, you just kind of want to lift the foot, lift the knee, get used to doing that in both positions, lifting the knee, lifting the foot, to really train all those inner hip muscles to help with everything. Let's give those a shot, see how those go, see how those feel, see if they start to help your hips in those positions you talked about. Again, I'm assuming internal rotation is the missing link in training your hip. So let me know how those feel, how those go, and if there's something else going on besides the internal rotation, which there could be, there's a lot going on in most people's hips. Then just let me know, maybe even film yourself doing the poses you're talking about that you feel kind of stuck in, so I can see what's going on and kind of, go from there. But regardless, those are gonna help tremendously with anyone's hips. So have fun with that.